Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Get Ready podcast. And now I'm going to show up and tell you about Get Ready Catering, which is always a great service to have if you're going to plan for any event or any ideas or anything you have. Just hit me up with any ideas or anything you'd like to know. I can work or we can work on with you, whether it's a budget or any kind of restrictions on food or anything like that or dietary needs, then I can work with you on it. But you have to email me and let me know for the Get Ready Catering. So that would be at getready@gmail.com. Get ready with two R's at gmail.com. And then you can just give me a message, let me know what you want, anything you need. I can work with you on anything you'd like. And if you want to give me a call or text, then just give me a call at 226-998-7787. That's 226-998-7787. And you can just message me anytime, get ready for whatever you need. Now, this episode, I talked with Joel Kennedy. We recorded this at Namrin, the Friendship Center, where he actually works. We had a pretty good conversation. I had some really great details and everything like that. And we also talk about the Indigenous Running Club. Now, I'm going to let Joel really explain about all that. But if you want to get more in touch with it, just listen to the episode and you will fully get all the details you need to know about their weekly meetings and everything they do. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into the episode. Okay, we're live.
All right.
Yep. All right, so I back here on the podcast, I have Joel Kennedy with me, and I wanted to get you on specifically because not only the Indigenous Running Club that you started, but we had a conversation before after one of the times I cooked here and taught we're at Namron too, by the way.
Yeah.
And we had conversations before, and it was just directly about running.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of useful information because I know there's a lot of people who would like to run, but don't have the information, don't know where to go, don't really understand it as well. I know there's a lot of people who want to lift weights or do meal prepping and stuff, but they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I think like most of our people, it seems like a lot of work, or it's like a lot to come at you, so it's best not to get into something that you might not get into anyways, kind of wasting time. So I was thinking that it'd be kind of good to have you on and just kind of like go over some things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So maybe you can kind of just start us out with maybe like a general interest in running, like what was the start of it?
Yeah, so I always had an interest in running, but I never really considered myself a runner. So I never really did anything through, even elementary school. I know some people do cross country. I've never done that. Never really ran in high school. Didn't really do much of anything. It wasn't until my adult life that I chose that I think I want to take up running. I always had the interest in running, and we always ran around as kids, but never did any kind of event where it was like a distance run. We never did a run where it was like, okay, we're going to run 5 kilometers. We never did that kind of run. So later on, and I chose I want to do running. So it wasn't until 2013, it was actually the messenger run that my brother did. It was back in June 2013. He did the messenger run, the first one. It was at Scanado at Longwoods. And once he did that, I'm just like, I'm going to take up running. I want to take up running too, if he can do it. And, he did a big weight loss journey too, and he lost a lot of weight and started taking up running. And so I'm like, that's kind of the path I want to follow too, is, lose weight and take up running. So after that run, I decided, I'm going to start my training. So I found an app called Couch to 5K. And that's how I started the training for it. So it's basically Couch to 5K is like you're only running for a minute at a time, and then you're walking, and then you're running for another minute, and it kind of gradually works you up a little bit at a time. So some people nowadays, they think that, I started running just recently, but I did start running back in 2013, and I just remember the whole process of it, not being able to run even a minute. I couldn't even run a minute, and I remember counting down like, okay, now 10 more seconds to go, I can do this, and just counting down those last 10 seconds just to run for a full minute, and then get a 3-minute walk break, and then run for another minute. So doing that Coach to 5K really helped me. I think I did 8 weeks of I think it was a 10-week program at the time, and I did 8 weeks of it. Then I did my first 5K, and my first 5K was at a Springbank Road Race. So it's a run that is the donations and proceeds go towards Youth Opportunities Unlimited, and the run is kind of hosted and organized by the Runner's Choice. So I decided to do that one as my first 5K, and then actually my brother did his first half marathon that run too. So it was really inspiring to, kind of train for a run together. Even though he was doing the half, I was doing the 5. We were kind of training together, getting ready for it, and it was a good experience. So that was my first 5K. So during that run, I learned a lot because you get a sense of adrenaline through running, and I went too fast, so I end up tweaking my knee and end up pulling a hamstring from that run, and which led to kind of a being inactive until 2015, and led to a bunch of weight gain and being inactive, and just really gaining a lot of weight and not changing my, I guess, health journey until 2015, and then not again running until 2016 actually. So I did my first 5K, and then it wasn't until 2016 that I did another 5K.
So you said you injured, but you got back up. It took you a little time off?
Well, I don't know if I ever really recovered from it. Like I went through physio. I did physio for it. So I went through that training and did everything that you're supposed to do for that, but I just never really got back into running. So I just kind of got on a bad path of eating habits and inactivity, and started gaining weight, and pretty much continued to gain weight all the way from 2013 all the way to 2015, and didn't really get back into it until so I started in October 2015, started changing my eating habits and start losing weight. Actually got up to 300 and just a little over 370 pounds. So when I did my run, I can't remember how much I weighed in 2013, but I want to say I was around 280 something, somewhere around there, like 280, 290.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, I lost weight training for that run, so I think I was over 300 pounds at the time, so I lost weight to do that run, so I was still around 280, somewhere around there. I can't remember exactly, but then so I pretty much gained about 100 pounds after I injured myself and quit doing physical activity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. So, but you said eventually back in 2015, then you got back into it more.
Well, I started eating healthier. So the main thing I started doing was eating healthier in October. That's when I finally decided, I'm going to change my eating habits, and I started walking. Now, I remember when I first started walking was difficult. Trying to do 20 minutes, and I was like out of breath, sweating. I was really out of shape.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just going to continue walking. So I just started walking. I knew I wanted to get back to the point where I wanted to run again, but I knew I wasn't there. I knew I had to just start with walking. So what I used to do is I would walk at night. I had one, my daughter was born in 2013 in January, and then that was actually the first motivation for me to do the training back in 2013. Then my other boy, he's born in May 2015, and so it was after that I knew that I wanted to change, my outlook on my health overall. So when the kids would be in bed, I would, go for a walk at night. So, my wife would be in bed with the kids and get them to bed, and I would go for a walk. So I do my evening walks, and I try to do it most nights, and then I would take weekends off. But it wasn't until March 25th, 2016 that I would run again. And I think at the time, my goal was to get under 300 pounds. And I think I was 325 pounds at the time, so I lost roughly about 50 pounds. And so I did my first 5K again since 2013. So that was the downtown 5K, and I just did what I could. I didn't train for it. I was walking, but I didn't train any running. I didn't do the couch to 5K where I was even running for a minute. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to do what I can. So I just started and I did a light jog and walk when I needed to, and all of a sudden the streets are getting opened up by the cop behind me, and I realize I'm the last person finishing the run, and I'm like, holy cow, like, because I've been to the runs before and I know there's a lot of walkers, but it was a really cold day, so I knew that's probably why there was no walkers, because it's so cold. Like, who wants to walk in the cold, right?
Yeah.
You know? So there was a lot of runners and a lot of people that were kind of run walk. But yeah, so I ended up being the last one finishing that race in 2016. So that was another learning experience. But I kind of always had a little bit in the back of my head, like, don't push yourself, because you don't want to injure yourself again. So I kind of always had that in the back of my head too. So yeah, 2016 and March was the first time I ran again. Yeah.
How much time do you allow yourself to get ready for a race?
So I would say ideally, like when I was doing the 5K, my first 5K, like ideally I wanted to get 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a good training program. So I would say 10 weeks is kind of ideal for that amount, like that distance. But for each distance, I would say it's different. But I would say 10 weeks is probably ideal for at least a, you know, couch to 5K or training for your first 5K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you, like, I guess, maybe besides some other facts of, like maybe your kids or something, their family that maybe would motivate you, would there be other things that you'd say would, to kind of get you through, like, not even like getting you ready for a race, but even like right during a race? Is there anything that kind of maybe that kind of helps push you through it?
I would say early on, when I was still doing the 5Ks and stuff, the one thing that motivated me was just kind of thinking about where I was, like how I gained all that weight and how I'm, you know, doing better, and just trying to focus on doing what I can, you know, and just knowing that it's better than I've been doing. So I think just having that mindset is that you're doing something, you're doing good, just keep it up, you know. And I always just kind of thought about that. To push myself to finish it, but you know, within limits too, again, because I think that 2013 run kind of really made me realize that I really have to be mindful of how I push myself too, right? So to be smart about it, don't get injured, you know, but know your limits, right? But yeah, just keeping that, but always thinking about the training that you put in, you know, always focusing, like, I put in the work, I know my body can do it, I seen what I can do through training. So just reminding yourself of that, you know, I always reminded myself, I can do this, you know, I can do it, just got to stick with it and just continue. You know, I've done this in training already, so I know what my body's capable of right now. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah, because like, in a sense, when I lift weights, especially on like really heavy lifts, in my head I go over it a million times, like right in front of the bar. Like if I was gonna deadlift like 400, in my head I will picture myself doing it.
Yeah.
Like as many times as I want to. So if I think 5 times in my head, I will sit there and just zone out, thinking about the weight, and then I will actually, after it's done, and I'm telling myself, you've already done it.
Yeah.
Now you just have to do it again, almost, in a sense, where it's like I've already finished this, but here's a second set, even though if it's my first set.
Okay.
Then I lift it, and it actually, I find too, that doesn't make a difference, as opposed to, like, I've seen some guys like not struggle, but you know, like really just like huffing and puffing as they're like lifting. But then there's like some people I think have a technique where it's visualizing yourself finishing it, it's already done, and then you know you just have to kind of go through the motions again to kind of get it. So because I was always wondering about that, because I don't really do a lot of cardio in the sense of not outside the gym.
Yeah.
Like I would flip tires, I'll bang with a sledgehammer, all that stuff. But like when it comes to running, I refuse myself. Yeah. It's just not for me. That's all. Like I will use the Stairmaster and ellipticals and all that stuff, but I don't know. I don't know. I just can't get behind myself. Like I just can't do running. I don't know why. It feels very strange to me. And I know there's probably people that feel the same about like lifting weights or that. Why I haven't met somebody who goes to my gym right now, and they just do cardio. Like he's an older guy. He's probably about in his 50s. Yeah. But he's really skinny. But all he does is a treadmill. And that's what he told me, that he just comes just to run, and that's it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even look at the weights. He just
Yeah.
comes in here for an hour, runs, and he's done.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's intriguing because like I said, I've never met like a lot of people like that, because everyone who goes to the gym generally just goes, lifts, and they're done, then they leave. But this guy was just there just to run, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think for me too, like I always had kind of an interest in doing weightlifting and stuff, but trying different things too during my, when I was trying to still lose weight before October.
Yeah.
I just tried different things and I just couldn't find a big interest, right? Like I would do things and it would be kind of a little bit, a little bit of weightlifting, a little bit of, whether it be exercise machines or whatever it was, and I just never found that real passion until I started doing the running and knowing I want to do the running. But yeah, going back to the visualization, like I would say for sure I utilize that too. Like just think about myself and knowing that I can do this, or I want how I predict how the run will go. And one of the good things too, when you do local runs, you kind of know where the different terrain is. So whether it's an incline or decline or the turns and where the turnarounds are, you kind of have an idea. So okay, if I'm getting tired here, I know there's a hill coming up, so I got to pace myself and get myself mentally prepared to take that hill. Or I know that I still have this far to go before the turnaround. So really utilizing that visualization too, and that mindset of trying to talk yourself into and prepare yourself for everything that you're going to be doing during a run. And I would say just really having a clear mind while you're running too, and allowing yourself to kind of do that, and don't just zone out and just push yourself the whole way, but actually visualizing it and making sure that you know what's coming up and what you have to do. So.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because I've had that before where whatever was going on in my life at the time, it affected me. So like, and I can think back to now, and at the time I was frustrated with it, but now I can look back and kind of laugh, because when I noticed that something was affecting me, like emotionally mainly, I couldn't lift like even like 40 pounds. Like I couldn't even curl. I couldn't do nothing. Like I felt so weak, but I know it was because of something, my mind was somewhere completely different, and I couldn't even focus on whatever I was trying to do at the moment. So like, yeah, you're right. Like it does help to have like a clear mind and just be focused and be right where you are, as opposed to be somewhere else, and then you're like, then you're not focused, and then you're not going to get through your event. So speaking of which, so what is the longest run you've done so far?
So the longest event I've done is the Around the Bay. So that one is 30 kilometers. So that's the longest. I did that actually March 25th this past year. So that's the longest one I ever did. So yeah, after the 5K, my goal after doing that first 5K was to complete a 5K without stopping. So being able to run a full 5K, because that first one, I couldn't finish it without having to walk, and I knew that going into it. But my goal was to train, and by the end of the year, in October actually, that was my goal, was to run the 5K, and it was actually the same run. It was a different date, but it was the same event that I injured myself in 2013. So it was kind of like, that's my goal. I want to run that 5K again, finish it without stopping, and being able to do that. So I actually met my goal in June of that year at the second annual messenger run. So it was a kind of a good run for me too, because seeing my brother do it for the first year, knowing I want to do this, and me completing my first 5K where I ran the full distance the second year, so it was good. And then just kind of I worked my way up to each distance. So after the 5K, went into the 10K. After the 10K, started training for a half marathon, and doing a half marathon exactly a year after I finished that 5K in 2016. So I did the Syracuse half marathon in 2017. So finished that, and then I wasn't really happy with how the half marathon went in Syracuse. I trained for it, and with the Couch to 5K and the 5K to 10K programs, those are two separate programs. I followed them, and they were an app-based program, so it was easy to follow. With the half marathon, I couldn't find a good program to follow. So what I ended up doing was looking on the internet and just kind of putting some stuff together and together a training program, but it didn't work well for me for the Syracuse. And so I did another one actually shortly after, and it was Forest City Road Races. And so I did that one, a half marathon, and I wasn't happy with that one either. So it was a weird. My biggest accomplishment was doing those half marathons, but it didn't feel like I truly didn't feel like I earned those medals. I'd feel like true like I didn't. I finished it, but I feel like I didn't finish it. Just because after 18, 19 kilometers, I just had nothing left and had to walk and go back to the walk run thing. And I just felt like at that point it was hard for me to accept it. So those are two of my harder races that I had to accept. And I knew that I got to change something. Something has to change if I want to continue doing the distance running. And I have a stronger interest in distance running as opposed to shorter, faster runs. I have a stronger interest in doing the distance running. So I knew in order for me to accomplish that half marathon and be happy, I got to change something. So I decided to join a half marathon clinic through Runner's Choice. And then they gave me a training program, exactly how to follow. And it was really unique because I never thought about doing the training that way. They break the runs up into, like, I committed myself to 3 times a week. So there's 3 different styles of training runs that you have to do. And I never thought about it that way, to do different styles of running. My outlook was always try to get the distance in, try to get that distance in, right?
Oh, okay,
but
yeah.
not actually, working my speed, working my endurance, just more or less trying to maintain that short paced or slower paced long distance. So it was really unique for me, and that really helped. And again, that it's called the Springbank Road Races, is the event that I did in 2013. My goal race for October in 2016, and then my first the half marathon was the next goal. So in 2017, it was October, I think it was October 1st, doing that Springbank Road Races, the half marathon that my brother did back in 2013. That was my goal race. So put in all the training, and I finished that run without stopping. So that was my first half marathon that I felt like I earned. I was really happy about it, and I shaved almost 20 minutes off of my time.
So would you contribute that to the training then that they helped you with?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Because I put in the work. Like, I felt like I did put in work. So it's not like I didn't train for the first Syracuse. I put in the work. It just I wasn't doing the right type of work.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I put in the training that I put together. I did the training. I did the kilometers. Did everything that I thought I needed to do, but it wasn't the right type of training for that style of distance of running. So it wasn't until I joined the Runner's Choice half marathon group that I actually put the right work in, had the right training program where I could actually, benefit from the training and complete the run where I was happy with it. So my goal, actually, at the beginning of the clinic, they said, "What's your goal?" So my goal is to run a half marathon without stopping. And they're like, "Well, what's the time?" So I always wanted to finish under 2 hours and 30 minutes because my previous time was 2:46 and 2:48 were my 2 previous times. So I'm like, I'd love to finish under 2:30. So I actually finished 2 hours and 28 minutes and some odd seconds for that half marathon. So I met my goal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was my biggest accomplishment for the half marathon. And I knew in the back of my mind, like, I wanted to continue on with the distance running. So I knew that I wanted to do Around the Bay. But I knew in order to do Around the Bay, I really had to accomplish that half marathon and be confident in how I did it before I moved on. So after that run, then I felt confident in moving on to Around the Bay, which was 30 kilometers.
Oh yeah, okay. Then because so when it came down to all your stuff, is there something more or less, I guess, is there a certain stuff, is there any sort of nutrition that you take with this at all?
So one thing that I feel like I've never really implemented was the nutrition. Now, I definitely changed the style of my eating. I definitely cut down on my portions, but I don't feel like I really, and that's something I'm working still on to this day. Like, with all the weight loss I did, it was always based on portion control. That was my main thing, was portion control. And I slowly start cutting things out. Like the first thing I cut out was fast food, right?
Yeah.
Cut out fast food, like especially like the burger joints, right? McDonald's was my biggest enemy at the time, especially when I was my heaviest.
Yeah.
So eating that stuff, I cut that out completely. Then slowly I start cutting out other things. I cut out pop, and I cut out like other things that I knew that was, you know, making me keep the weight on. So just slowly cutting back. But I changed the style of eating, but I know, like, we're our worst, hardest critics, and we know we can always do better, right? So
Yeah.
I know I can always do better with the nutrition portion of it, but I know, again, going back to the mindset of I am doing better than I was, but no, there's still room for improvement. So I would say the main thing with nutrition for me was portion control. Yeah, that was my biggest thing. Yeah. And then trying to eliminate as much greasy fast foods, pretty much eliminating all the burger joint stuff. But I'm a sucker for pizza.
Yeah,
So,
same here.
you know, I still eat my pizza here and there. So
Well, nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and that's one thing I try to look at is, you know, it's all about what's the saying? They say it's all about moderation and moderation, right?
Yep.
And, you know, so not eating pizza every day, but, you know, still having it here and there, and some of the foods that aren't great for you, still having those here and there. But yeah, portion control is probably the biggest thing I did for my nutrition to help me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always find that I mean, when I did a 12-week cut back in 2015, that was like the strictest I ever was on anything, because I lost 50 pounds in 12 weeks, but I wasn't having any fruit, like anything with sugar in there, nothing.
Yeah.
Even if it was fruit, I cut fruit out of my diet. I cut everything. And I would look at the back, and if there was 1 gram of sugar, I'd put it back. Like that's how crazy I went with everything.
Yeah.
And it was just, all my meals were done ahead. Like everything was just on point and strict. But it came down to where I remember a bodybuilder, his name's Branch Warren, he said, when you live a bodybuilding lifestyle, you become very selfish, because it's all about yourself. Because you can't go out with friends, you know, you're not going to eat with them, you're not going to eat with your family, you're going to always eat you're going to eat what you have to eat, and you're going to eat the times you have to eat. So for 12 weeks, I remember going to sleep at 10 o'clock every night, getting up at 6 every morning, no matter what. And then I would always eat at 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, and then one more time at 8, about 8 o'clock, and that'd be my last meal of the day.
Yeah.
And it was like that relentlessly. And when that was done, I was like, yeah, it's fine. But like, you know, like I realized now I'm doing cutting again, but I don't go so crazy on bodybuilding as much as I just try to, like we were talking about, moderation, because I'm not stepping on a stage show. Like I'm not going on stage for nothing. I'm just cutting weight. That's all. So like, I'm not trying to be as super strict as I was. So it's more or less just being very cautious, I guess. Like, I can still have some of this. Like I can still have pizza. I still have that, because I go out with my friends every other weekend, and like, you know, I want to go to a sushi place with them, or I want to go to a burger place, but I will save up the week for that one meal. Yeah. And I will usually allow myself one meal a week. Oh yeah. Where I'll just eat whatever and I won't care. But I just, like what we're saying with portion too, I just try not to, like, just because sushi is all you can eat, I try not to do all I can eat. Yeah. I try to just say, okay, well, I'm just gonna have till I'm satisfied, and then I'll be done. Like I don't want to eat till, like, you know, you're like just like trying to breathe on the way home. You're just
trying to get my money's worth. The buffet, I gotta get my money's worth. That's a weird mindset, right? Like people, like I find myself with that. I always, you know, before I'd always think, I gotta get my money's worth for this buffet. Like, you know, some reason you think you gotta eat as much as you possibly can, but you know, and then now I'm thinking, you know, I always try to make sure I'm not still hungry, but I'm not full. Yes. Especially with a buffet, like, you know, so I really make sure I'm not a salad guy. I don't like salads. You know, so when I go to buffet, I usually try to fill up with the vegetables and stuff. And,
like the grilled vegetables or whatever.
So I try to fill up with those and still, you know, have my meats and my carbs and stuff. But, you know, try to make sure I have a good portion of vegetables on my plate, so that way, you know, don't get too hungry, or don't eat too much. You know, so.
Yeah, because Just like a couple weeks ago, I went to Windsor. Me and my girlfriend ate at what's it called? The Market Buffet at the
Okay.
bottom of the casino in
Yeah.
Windsor.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've had my brothers and people tell me, "Oh, it's so good," and it was. But for some reason, the way they talked it up, I
Yeah.
expected way more.
Oh yeah.
But when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is good."
Yeah.
But I remember eating, even having a little bit of dessert, but I was never like what we just said, like not like trying to struggle, like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
holy Christ, like oh, trying to walk out, dragging myself out. Like it wasn't like that. I just kind of was like, because with desserts, I just grabbed a little bit, and
Yeah.
then me and my girlfriend just split them in half.
Yeah.
But everything else, yeah, we just kind of ate whatever and everything. And yeah, I was trying to eat, still think more cautious, but
Yeah.
their green beans, when you scooped it up,
Yeah.
you could just see all this butter just came off. I was like, what the heck? Like, what's the point of this? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
because then like it was just drenched in butter, and you could tell like somebody must have just dumped more on it,
Yeah.
because like there's just all this butter sitting at the bottom, and I was just like, okay. And so I'm like, I don't mind salads, but I
Yeah.
do like protein in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did manage to get a salad, and they had prime rib that night,
Yeah.
and I just cut that up and put that on a salad.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like I just,
Yeah.
I kind of have more protein than anything, but
Yeah, because I've been in a few different weight challenges over the time too, and I always feel like when I'm having salads, I feel like I'm almost punishing myself. Like I'm really pushing myself to lose those pounds and stuff. And I think that's one thing I always wanted to do is maintain a good weight, because I'm continuously still losing. Like I'm still losing, and it's slower now. And I try to keep an eye, like I don't focus on the pounds per se, but I kind of, I think at one point I was almost weighing myself every day, or if not every other day.
Yeah,
It's like a bad kind of habit. Like all of a sudden I'd be a little heavier one day and be like, oh my God, like I'm gaining weight again,
Yeah.
and having that fear, right? So now I, once every other week or something like that, just to kind of see where I am. But right now I'm kind of going by how I feel, right? And knowing that I'm still losing weight, and every time I check, I'm still slowly losing weight, which is, good. So I know that, like I said, I can always do better with nutrition, but right now I'm still happy with how I'm continuously losing and, still doing well. So
yeah, I mean they always say too, that's generally more healthy anyways, when you lose little by little. Like if I did that weight cut every year, like when I was talking about I lost 50 pounds per week, that's so unhealthy.
yeah,
Like when people cut a huge amount of weight in a short amount of time, you're really pushing your body to its limits, where like you're doing harm to your liver, your pancreas, like all this, you're doing harm to it because you're forcing it to work so much. And after that I was like, ooh, like even though I felt better, I still was mindful about that after that huge weight cut, and I was just like, well, I gotta take it easy now, like, because like when I do it, I just do the same, where like I kind of go by look though, like more than the actual weight or like the numbers. Like I'll weigh myself, but it's rare. Like maybe sometimes not even in a whole month I won't weigh myself. But most times I just look at myself and think, well, I'm losing something, because I can tell, like, something's shrunk, something's gone, or something like that. Like that's just what I go by myself. Just because like, that kind of idea can come into my head, that what if I get obsessed and then every day, I'm checking. Yeah, but they say to do it first thing in the morning when you wake up.
Oh yeah.
Like they say to get on the scale, because after you wake up, because you just fast for 8 hours, you get up and you can check it again, and then it's like it should be the exact same or lower or high or whatever, because that's the most accurate it's going to be as soon as you get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I know some people will do it. Oh, I don't have time right now, so then like later in the afternoon, after they add lunch and breakfast, then they're like, oh my God. And then they're not thinking about like what they just ate earlier and if it's still sitting there, and so like, it comes off a lot. But it's a very intriguing thing for like nutrition, because while talking to you, I've looked into runners. And like run, like what runners will actually like benefit from, and it's very interesting how like a lot of times those gel packs. But it seems like they're like, sometimes they look like they're like half carbs, half protein almost. Because I do know you're depleting a lot of your energy and your carb intake because of your running, and you're just burning energy. So they say they always need to jump into that right away. Because there's a company called, I want to say Hammerhead, but I'm not entirely sure. And they specialize in supplements just for runners. So when I went to Odawa Powell about 2 years ago now.
Yep.
I bought these tablets, and they just look like big tablets. And I just broke them in half because they're so big because they wouldn't fit in the water bottle. But you drop it in the water bottle and you shake it up and it dissolves and it turns into a drink that's meant for runners, like because they're using up so much energy.
Yeah.
But I only bought them because my girlfriend was dancing in powwow. So when she came off, I would give her that, and then she would drink it, and then she would replenish all of her like whatever she lost, and then she would just be able to go back out without having to be like, oh, I'm so hungry, or I'm so tired, or like she's overheated or something like that. This drink would constantly get her. So I was like, okay, now I see why. So I started associating supplements with runners with powwow dancers. So that's how I constantly just like get powwow dancers to keep like I guess moving without having to stop so much, or I guess having to rely on like an Indian taco, eating half of it and then being I remember seeing a fancy dancer. He was going crazy the first round, and then later in the evening you can tell he ate something because the second time he danced he was just a little bit slower than he was earlier, and you're just like, it's kind of an issue when your food, everything around you is kind of like a little bit carb heavy. Which is a little bit of a problem at powwows, but that's another topic.
I just recently started trying there's these gel packs, and I think they're called not Noon or NUN or NUN. But I just started trying those on my run. So what they recommend is like every 45 minutes or whatever, right? So I do it like every hour. So when I'm doing my distance runs on Sundays, I usually try to take one after an hour. And then after another hour while I'm running, I'll take another one, and then that'll be, good. And I usually try to, what I've been noticing, especially in the summer, is at first I thought it was like how you burn and then your skin starts kind of peeling and stuff like that. So at first I thought it was that, but then I realized it was all the salt coming out of my body, and I have this like I don't know, almost like a flaky white stuff on my skin, and it's actually the salt that's coming out of my body that I'm sweating out. So just trying to figure out what's good for that. So that's a new thing for me because I'm training for a full marathon now. And doing the distance kilometers, I'm running pretty much every Sunday. I'm running more than 2 hours, right? So having to do that, just trying to figure out what's good. So I've been trying out those ones, and they seem to be doing good anyways, because I get certain parts of the run where I'd feel hungry, right? And then during events, they have like the electrolytes or the GetRready or something like that, and you can just kind of throw a little small cup of that back during your run. So I would try to incorporate those on my events too, just to kind of hit the electrolytes and replenish those. And I think some of them might have salts in them too, so replenish your sodium and do that stuff. So still trying to figure that out, but so far the gel packs has been good, but they're $2 a shot, and taking 2 for a run, and running
kind of builds up after.
Yeah, it does. So trying to figure out what's good. So just recently tried that for the first time. I think on my last 2 Sunday runs I tried those, and I actually tried these ones called Sport Beans. So I think it's that brand Jelly. Is it Jelly Belly or something? They make the jelly beans, like the real, trademark jelly beans or whatever. So they had these ones called Sport Beans. So I tried those out, and I think they had too much sugar in them, because I don't intake a lot of sugar. Like I don't drink. I just strictly drink water. I'll drink G2 after a run, but I pretty much just drink water, and I don't really have any sugar. I'm lucky I don't have a sweet tooth, so that's one of my benefits. I always said I had a grease tooth. I like my greasy foods, but I never really cared for sweet foods. So, but yeah, so I tried those, and I just felt like it kind of almost gave me like a headache or a sugar rush or something, and I didn't really like how it, So I didn't really take well to the Sport Beans. So I tried these ones, and I always make sure, because I don't drink, any pop or coffee or tea anyway. So I don't intake any caffeine. So I made sure I got the packs that had no caffeine as well. So that was, but yeah, I've been trying those out, and they seem to be all right so far. But one thing I noticed too, I learned a lot through running. Learned a lot, and I don't know, it's be a 3-hour show if I say everything I learned through running. But what I'll share is um, with the eating after running, like sometimes you eat and it feels like you have a, a bottomless, like, what do they call, hollow leg. It just feels like you can just eat and eat and eat after a
you
run.
never feel satisfied.
Yeah, you're never feeling satisfied. So one person shared with me, it's the salt and the electrolytes that you're craving. So you're craving, your body's craving that to get replenished with that, but you're just keeps on eating, and the things you're eating may not have that to replenish it. So right now I'm using G2, and I try to drink like half a bottle because I don't want to drink the full thing. So I drink half a bottle of G2 afterwards, and I find that's helping. So it was actually interesting for me because I'm like, why am I so hungry all the time? Like after I eat, especially when I sweat a lot, and it's just my body's craving that. So the foods that I'm eating isn't, doing my, replenishing what I need. So it's not doing justice to, satisfy my craving or my hunger. And so it wasn't until I started doing that I noticed that, I don't eat as much now after I run. But sometimes we always say, is it run-gry?
Run-gry.
Yeah. So after you run, you just feel like a bottomless pit, and you can just put whatever back, and
just keep eating, keep going.
It's a again, with mindset, it's hard to think about that too, right? Like, oh well, you always have this mindset as, oh, I earn this, right? You always think you earn this food, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you run, and then all of a sudden, oh, I can eat whatever I want because I earned. No, like you gotta maintain that and say, you still gotta, portion control, and that's my main thing is portion control. So still gotta maintain that portion control even after a run. But I find myself, after a big run, I'll say, okay, I'll go out and celebrate. Like after my half marathon, I'm just gonna eat something junk, like absolute junk. I don't care what it is. It's just whatever I'm craving, I'm eating it, right? But for a little bit there, it's almost like you get in that mindset where you're still celebrating. All of a sudden, 3 meals later, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Just going and not stopping at all.
Yeah, still having that, I earned this, So trying to keep that mindset where you're, not continuously just eating a bunch of, junk. And
yeah, I've had that, and I've also had, I'll just burn it off.
Yeah,
like we're like, if you think you're gonna get something, and you're just like, well, I'll just burn it off anyway. And then you eat it, so it's like you didn't even do anything yet.
Yeah,
I've done that plenty of times. So with the flaky thing though, I've heard a couple things. There I heard them talk about a runner's high.
Okay.
But I've heard them talk, like some people say that I guess runners. I've heard the explanation, but I just can't remember how exactly it goes. But I've heard some runners will actually like crap themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, like, obviously I don't think it happened to you yet, or hopefully it doesn't. But I just mean, it's like, because I've seen it where
pretty silent over here, let's just say that.
Because I've been like, and then I remember somebody talking about that.
Yeah.
And then someone showed me a picture, and it was somebody who was just like, I guess, in the zone, and they got to the finish, but like, it's just
I don't think I've ever experienced that. Like, I definitely experienced the runner's high. I can definitely say it's a true thing. It's just like, sometimes in runs, like I remember when I was training for Syracuse the first time, you just get these different, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you get into a certain kind of a groove, I guess you can say, where you feel like you're good. And then it's almost like you got to get into that groove before you start enjoying your run. So sometimes it happens like after a couple kilometers. Sometimes that takes a while to happen. So it was one of my runs for Syracuse I was training for. It's actually 45 minutes into my run that I finally felt like I was, in a groove where I'm like, okay, now I feel like I can go, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember because I like to update on Facebook just to kind of share my story. That way people know that there's there's struggles in running, right? There's struggles, and there's definitely, benefits, and just try to share everything I can. And, but so I shared that. I said it didn't feel good till about 45 minutes, and someone commented that, it's not a runner. Like, what do you mean you didn't feel good till 45 minutes in? She's like, why would you continue running if you didn't even feel good until 45 minutes into your run? I think I ran for, I think it was just a little over 2 hours that time. So, I felt good for an hour and 15 minutes of those 2 hours. But, it's just kind of breaking through that and getting into that zone. But you do get a runner's high at some point. You just feel like you can just go. But one thing to be cautious with that is you still got to maintain your pace. You know, everyone has a pace that they're capable of, and there's a pace that you can kind of push yourself for a certain distance too, right? Some people can, like I've had some half marathon that I did where I actually did my personal best. I really felt good on the pace. I'm like, I'm gonna see if I can maintain this pace. If I can't, you know, like I'll just ease off and recover, and knew I could, but I maintained that pace, and it was a faster pace than I usually do, but I just kind of seen how my body would react and seeing if I could push myself. So everyone kind of has a pace, but it's always got to be mindful of where you're at and how fast you're trying to go, because if you go too fast, you can burn yourself out, and then all of a sudden you have like another who knows how many kilometers to go, and you know, so you gotta be mindful again of when you get to that kind of runner's high or feel good, you gotta maintain your pace still and not push yourself too far, because if you end up burning out and getting tired, then the rest of the race is gonna suck. So.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've actually had the Buffalo half marathon that I did. This was just back in May of this year. That it never came. Well, that was the only run I ever did where that you know, in like the runner's high or that groove never came. It just never came. I'm just like pushed myself all the way through the whole half marathon, and it just never came. It just was a really weird run for me. So I guess everyone has bad run days, and unfortunately that was during one of my race events. But you know, just I still say that I enjoyed the run, like enjoyed overall, it was good experience and everything, but I just did not have a good run. But I just, you know, accepted it for what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that for sure, that there's going to be times that maybe a whole training session's good, or a whole training weeks are good, but then the actual race, something happens. Like I could see, like maybe sometimes, I know some people have nerves that just like snap on them, and they just, oh, I can't do it. But they still do it, but it's, it's like what you're saying, like sometimes they can't get the runners high, nothing like that, and then they kind of take it hard on themselves. But it's, I mean, I've never been in really a competition with weights or anything like that, but I do know some people who have, and you know, like sometimes they're just off on it, and I think there's really no explanation sometimes. Just day to day, see what happens, and sometimes they win, sometimes they don't.
Because it was funny too with the Buffalo half marathon too. It was a pretty flat course. Like I've done some pretty, you know, hilly courses, and it was a flat course, so it was hard. It was like even harder for me to like. This is, I don't want to say any run is easy, but I'm just like, this is a pretty flat course. Like I should be just, you know, doing well in this one. So it was gonna little one, you know. But again, it's learning experience and everything. But yeah, so I completely avoid your question about the everyone has a shit story that I say, you know, all runners. I have mine. I ain't gonna share it, but let's just say I learned to what to eat and what not to eat, you know, before a run. So yeah, some of them, you know, there's been a couple times too through training where I'm just like, I'm thankful that there's you know, washrooms along the road, and you know, definitely make use of them when I need to. But you know, there's fortunately I have a story. But I ain't sharing it. Yeah. All of my stories I'll share are just close calls.
What about the tape? Do you have to put tape?
What tape?
Well, people talk about putting tape over their nipples. Runners?
No, because I think I wear an undershirt too. When you lose a lot of weight, you have some extra, you know,
Coverage.
Yeah, so I just, you know, I wear an undershirt. I think that kind of, I've seen it though. I've seen a lot of people, even on our Port Stanley runs.
Doesn't it bleed? Is that what they say happens?
Yep. So I think it's just a friction, because I wear an undershirt. So my undershirt is pretty much like a compression shirt.
Yeah, it's just like stuck to you.
Yeah, so it's stuck to me. So my, like, you know, my shirt isn't kind of bouncing around and stuff. So then I wear a shirt over top of it. So I've never had that issue where I had the, you know, but I've seen it, and I think it's just the friction, the shirt going up and down and constantly, you know,
just going against.
Yeah. So I think that's what it's from. But you know, luckily I never had to. But I've seen people too in our, you know, clinics that tape their nipples and stuff, so that way I don't have to worry about it. And
yeah, because I was curious about that. Because I was like, oh, there's a lot of things that runners go through that are completely different. Cause
the chafing.
Yeah.
Chafing's You know, so it's funny because we do our so I train year round. So the winter clinic that I did prepare for around the bay, because it's in March, so I pretty much had to. We started in January and went all the way until the through March. So the training was right through the winter. So when you're cold and you don't really feel the chafing as bad, or I didn't feel the chafing as bad, and then we started at Good Life. So one of the benefits there is you start, you go out for your run, you stop, and they let us use their showers and stuff. And yeah, I've seen some pretty good memes where it's like people screaming after a run, and where you chafed, and yeah, I definitely felt that. So I have some crazy chafing, and yeah, so just I try to use compression underwear too, and also the Body Glide too is Vaseline, stuff like that. So,
Yeah, to really kind of
yeah,
ease off so nothing actually.
yeah, all the friction. No.
Yeah. Is it so what would be easier than to train in? Like, is winter as bad as I know some people probably think it might be, or
Well,
is it not that bad
the
as
one
like say
thing,
summer?
this summer's been rough, right? So, well, last summer I was training for my half marathon, so I didn't have to do nothing beyond 21 kilometers, right?
Yeah.
But this summer I've had to run beyond 21 multiple times, and this heat has been like, that's kind of a whole different animal, so to speak. Like there's been times where my body just shut down. It was just too hot. It's just like, no, that's it. And I went live on Facebook for one of them, and I wanted to kind of capture that experience just because my conditioning was there. I felt like I could do more, but it's just like my body was like, no, you're done. You're overheating and you're done. And it's just kind of my body letting me know that, and that's the biggest thing, is listen to your body. Because I actually did the Canada Day half marathon. They do one from, I think it's Lucan to Bruce Lamb's place out in, I think it's just out on the outskirts of London. But we did that half marathon, and I did that, and I pushed myself all the way through, and it was brutal. It was like the whole humidity was like 40 degrees out, and it was a rough run. Like, that was probably one of my worst runs. And after that one, I just like literally laid on the grass. And I'm like, I'm done. Like, I just need to cool down. And one good thing about runners is good camaraderie and good support. Like, everyone knows what you're going through because they've done it.
Yeah.
And so they come over and get me water and do all that stuff for me. And they're even say, here, drink pickle juice and stuff like that, so you don't cramp. And so they really helped me out with that one. But I'm just like, I just want to lay here and do nothing. Like, I just felt like crap. So I don't know. I think personally I would pick. I would have to say I would pick winter. Well, winter has its benefits because you can always layer. Like, I've ran. I think the coldest I ran felt like, I think it was beyond -20. So I ran in that, and you can always layer up. You can always put a thing over your face and wear your winter hat and wear multiple layers, which I find is better than wearing something bulky. It's just multiple layers, right?
Yeah.
But your footing, you don't have the footing. When it's icy out, you just kind of got to make sure you adjust your running and how you place your foots, and then, and make sure that you don't slip and fall, right? So, and then plus the sidewalks are always all built up, so you got to run the roads. So we're majority of the time we're doing side roads, and you're not on the main roads or anything. But then we utilize the pass, and luckily with London, as they maintain the pass pretty good, so you get lucky and get to run on those. So.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so I would say running's like, I don't want to. They both have their benefits. I do enjoy the summer runs, but this heat has been,
Especially when it's real humid out.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's the thing though, as I find wintertime, like not even really fall, but actually when it gets winter, is you will actually, not that I'm trying to put an egotistical thing to this, but you kind of find people who really want it to people who don't, it's too cold out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even going to a gym, like not running like you outside, but just going to a gym. There's people who are like, it's too cold out.
Yeah.
Like, to just, even if you got to drive there or you have to walk there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure it was one time. I'm not sure if this was the 12 weeks or this was before. I think this might have been before, but I remember one of those real horrible bad snowstorms where it was like minus 38, minus 40.
Yeah.
I still got up at 6. I had a shovel all the way to my car.
Yeah.
Then I had, and luckily when I got to my car, I didn't have to shovel the back because the plow just got there and he saw me and he immediately like pushed all the snow out of the way.
Yeah.
So like, okay, that saves time.
Yeah.
Then I drove to the gym the whole time, like trying to stay on the road, and then I get in there, and I was never thinking I should just turn around and go home. Like I was just like, I was still driving, just like I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah.
But I remember I still had work at 11:30, so I had to, so I drove there, did what I had to do at the gym, then I drove back. But it was weird because on the way back, everything cleared up.
Yeah.
So it was fine. But I just remember that one time because I was like, it's so horrible, but I still was like, I'll get there when I get there, and just driving like nothing, like just. Even though it was like freaking bad out and like the roads were still not plowed properly, so like but yeah, that's what I mean. Like wintertime, it becomes very like I mean like there's people who go running still. Like I still see runners in the winter, or there's like people who are still going to the gym, but it's less. I find like there's less people doing it. So I don't know if it's like really busy where you run.
Yeah, because I think they say there's roughly about 100 plus runners in the clinic. Right, so obviously not all 100 are there every single time, but yeah, so I meet with them Thursdays and Sundays, and this is my 3rd time. So I did the half marathon clinic with them last summer to prep for the October run, and then I did the winter clinic with them to prep for the Around the Bay run, and then now I'm doing the marathon clinic to prepare for my Chicago marathon. So yeah, on October 7th I'll be doing the Chicago marathon, so this will be my furthest distance. But no, there's a good there's a good amount of people that come out, but I would say there's probably more during the summer than as opposed to the winter, for sure.
Is it hard? Like I've heard people run like on dirt roads on the res and it's easier, but then I hear when people are running on cement, I hear a lot of people say their shins hurt a lot.
Yeah, so I never really experienced. Actually, the only time I experienced shin splints was we did a training run. This is through the Indigenous Running Club. We did a training run. We met at Longwoods at Scandado, and that was the only time I ever experienced shin splints. But I think it was the uneven terrain and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely try to always run on the asphalt if I can, as opposed to like sidewalk or whatever, right? So. Sometimes I'll utilize the bike lane in London to run in, and then I'll just jump on the sidewalk if there's a bunch of bikes coming or whatever. But I try to utilize the bike lane if I'm running on the street. But otherwise, majority of the time I'm running through the pathways in London. So you can cover quite a good distance of your kilometers in the pathway, because we have so many pathways in London that we can go through. Yeah.
So you mentioned the whole Chicago. Are you already in training for it then?
Yeah, so I started my training at, when was it officially started? I can't remember when the clinic started. I think it was June, beginning in June. But I was kind of going off my my training for Around the Bay, which was the 30 kilometers. So I was already kind of had a base for that. And then I tried to do a little bit of maintenance runs, like maintain the distance and stuff, and then really started the marathon clinic in June. So I've been going with that since June, and so October 7th I'll be running the Chicago Marathon. So looking forward to that. So it's interesting with the I actually didn't know about the Chicago Marathon. It was actually my coach for the Runner's Choice Clinic, John. He actually told me, last summer we were kind of sitting around afterwards talking, and then he's like, do you ever think about doing the Chicago Marathon? I said, I didn't even know about the Chicago Marathon. He's like, yeah, it's a really good marathon, huge, it's really a supportive run, because people really come out all along the whole route of the 42 kilometers and support you throughout your run, and it's just tons of people. There's supposed to be, I think there's like 40,000 or something people that are going to be running it. But I never even heard of it before, and he said, yeah, look into it, see if you're interested. And I asked him, I said, realistically, do you think I can do it? Like, is that a realistic goal for me? He's like, see how Around the Bay goes. Around the Bay goes well, then I would say, yeah, for sure. You can take that next step to include those 12 kilometers. And I've heard many stories, and some people say, if you can do around the bay, you can do a marathon. And then people say, well, you did the first 30 kilometers. It's the last 12 that's the hardest part. So so we'll see. But yeah, so it's a really big run, and it's actually there's a few ways to get in, and one of the ways is to enter your name into a lottery, they call it. And so I put my name into the lottery and got my name selected. So yeah, because there's ways to get into runs too, where you qualify for time, but like me, I'm nowhere near that time. Like there's some really elite runners and fast runners, and basically almost twice as fast as I'm doing. Or actually, my time for my half marathons, you add another 40 minutes, and that's how fast people are finishing their marathons to qualify for these races, right?
Jeez.
So yeah, so I throw my name into the lottery system and just went in through that way. So, yeah.
Does it work like a lottery?
Well,
like was it really like a?
There's so Runner's Choice has such a great relationship that there's a bus of people that will go down from here from London to Chicago, and pretty much anyone who's on the bus gets into the race to the lottery system. So yeah, so
well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but you still got to put your name in. I actually put my name in for the New York marathon as well, but I didn't get selected for that one. So yeah. But that's actually that's my bucket list run. That
is a New York
marathon. One. Yeah, that's my bucket list one.
Does it take place in the fall time?
Yeah, it's November.
November? Oh yeah, so it'll be pretty damn cool.
yeah, so it'll be nice. Yeah, it'll be nice for sure. Yeah, October, you still don't really know what to expect. You might have a hot day, you might have a cold day,
it's
you might
really
have a
weird.
cool day. Yeah, you never know what to expect in October, but yeah, November, you're almost guaranteed it's going to be cooler. Yeah.
Yeah, because right on the, well, which part though? It's like, would it be Manhattan or?
Yeah, you run through they say all the 5 boroughs you run through.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is it still 42 then?
Yeah, 42 kilometers, yeah.
Oh, but okay, yeah, but they just measure it out through everything?
Yeah. So you just run through pretty much everything.
Huh.
Yeah, run across the bridges and stuff, so.
Yeah, so that's the next step then?
Well, that's my goal right now is just to be able to finish the, full distance, and I don't have no, for this one, I'm not putting no time on me or anything. I just want to do well in it, just putting in the training and do well in it. So really trying to just make sure I complete it really. So yeah, so that's the goal for the first one, and then we'll see how it goes from there. I don't want to look too far beyond it.
Yeah.
I don't want to think oh yeah, I'm gonna do 3 marathons or something. So I just kind of want to just complete it because this is my first one. So see how my body reacts to it, and go from there. So
yeah, because you said it's those 12 extra kilometers, right, that get added?
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. But the training's going good. Been doing all the training runs and doing the distances and making sure I do that and committing myself to running 3 times a week. So
oh yeah. So one of the things too was obviously to talk about the Indigenous Runners Club.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because well, I guess kind of just give an overview, kind of give details, because then I know there's probably people who are interested, but or that might get interested just even hearing about it, and I would like to check it out. So
yeah, well, I guess I'll give you a little bit about the history of it. So going back to the March run when I was going to do that 5K, or I did the 5K. After that, I'm like, I need to train for a run. So I asked another staff here at Namran if they'd be interested in doing a Couch to 5K program, or I didn't want to really do a learn to run program because I myself didn't consider myself a runner, so I couldn't teach someone how to run. But I said, we can follow this Couch to 5K program along together. So that was the main goal of the first thing. So the newsletter for Namran, it comes out every 2 months, but we were going to put I was going to put a flyer in the newsletter. So I made one real quick, and it was crap. I made it within 10 minutes because they're like, yeah, the newsletter's going out at, this time. I got to get it printed. So if you can get a newsletter to me in 20 minutes, then, a flyer to me in 20 minutes, I'll put it in the newsletter. So I made a flyer in 20 minutes or maybe even less than that. And it looked like crap. So we've got it in the newsletter. So we started that week we started. People that showed up was my brother, who was already running, and I think the staff's daughter showed up. So there was 4 of us, and it's just nobody showed up, right? basically only the two people that we each told, so we each brought someone, and
Oh yeah.
so I'm like, we got to do something. So I'm like, we got to rebrand it. We got to make people interested. And how are we going to make people interested in it? And I always thought, why don't we, because there's always been learn to run programs, couch to 5K programs that have been running through organizations, right? They always had these programs, so it's not like we were the one that just started. Okay, we're going to do this, program. We didn't. It was always happening. It's always happened. That's when my brother started running with those programs too. So he was a part of that. But I'm like, I want to do something different. What can we do that's different? Maybe make something. Make a group, or name it something else. So actually, I was with my buddies on group chat. So I started throwing some names around. I'm just like, let's make a name for this. What is it, right? Let's try to figure it out. So we threw a bunch of names around. Of course, in group chat, you can get way off track and all these crazy names you can just imagine that are coming out. But what we ended up with was Indigenous. We knew, like, that's kind of, with all the programs through NAMRAN, we're all focusing on the Indigenous now as opposed to Native, or different wording, or Aboriginal, I guess. But we're really focusing on Indigenous now. So I'm like, well, we got to call it Indigenous. And then at first we had Runners Group. But at first, I kind of felt like runners was like didn't seem as inclusive, right? Like, it just kind of felt like, well, am I a runner? I don't even consider myself a runner yet, So like, why keep the name Runners, right? Because I just feel like it's only for runners, and we wanted to kind of keep it open. So I'm like, running sounds more like inclusive, right? So we chose running, and then we had group, but I felt group kind of sounded short term. So it's like, group is kind of a short term, maybe one off, or just something, right? So like the club sounds like you belong to something. So we came up with the Indigenous Running Club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's how we started. So I redid the flyer, put the Indigenous Running Club on it, really advertise it as a couch to 5K, run your first 5K. The goal event is the messenger run. So that was the goal event. And so I put out the flyer, and then also in the first night we had 19 people out. So we went from having, our two family members out to actually having 19 people the first time. So it went well. So I think there was 12 of them that completed the training to do a lot of them, it was their first 5K. So the Indigenous Running Club, we got them shirts, and originally they were blue. So blue had the NAMRAN symbol, and we came up with the Road Warriors. So we put Road Warriors on the back. And it wasn't actually until the longboat run that we did in that September 2016 that we decided, well, let's try to figure out. So I sent some logos over to person who does our shirts, and she sent them to their graphic designer and tried to play with the logo and stuff, and they end up coming up with what we have now. So we put that on a shirt, and originally we were just putting it on the shirt just for the ones that completed the training for the longboat run. And then people are like, can I get a shirt? Can I buy a shirt? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think people would want the shirts, right? I just, kind of wanted us all to have that sense of accomplishment, and that we finished the training and stuff. But, it's been great that people are like, can I get a shirt too? I'm like, absolutely. You can get a shirt too. So we start putting in orders of shirts, and buying more shirts, and people just, pay for their shirts and get a shirt. And so the Indigenous Running Club now, it's been going for 3 years, and we actually had a interview on CBC. So originally CBC Radio, and they did an online story with us too. And so how that came about was 3 of us were at the spring runoff event, and we were wearing our shirts. And so we finished it, and the girl that's the radio interviewer, what she did, she did the run too, but she's seen our shirt. So she did a little bit of investigation, like, who are these guys, or who is the Indigenous Running Club? So she came across an old flyer that I made public on Facebook, and then she seen, my name to contact. So she called and asked for me. So I get a random call on, here at work, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm from CBC Radio," and I'm just like, "Okay." I wasn't too sure what to say. I didn't know why she was calling at first, and it's like, okay, why is she asking for me and CBC Radio, right? And so she ended up telling me that she seen us at there, and she wanted to find out about what the Indigenous Running Club was. So I said, so I told her a bit about it, and told her the story of how it started and everything, and she's like, "I'd love to come out and do an interview with your club." So I said, yeah, well, let me check to see if everyone's interested, and we'll go from there. So we end up having, I think there was 11 of us out that night, and I think 8 of them got interviewed, and they used 6 of their interviews, and then 2 of us were for the online story. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. But right now we basically meet every Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Anyone's welcome to come out. We have people that all different, all different levels of fitness and all different goals. So people can come out and just walk, or people can come out and train for a 5K, a 10K, or half marathon, or whatever they're interested in doing. So we meet once a week and provide snacks for people afterwards, and it's just a good group of people that come out and motivate each other. But what we also started in January was we started these healthy selfie challenge. So we do that, and what it is just basically getting people to post their healthy selfie onto a page and just share their healthy activity. So at first we just strictly did it for January. We just strictly did it running and walking. But what we did now is it just open every month, whatever activity you want to do, just to kind of, I find it's really motivating for people, inspiring different people just to try, to be active, and it's really helpful for the page, and people are really enjoying it. So we do a monthly draw. People, chip in $5, and whoever wins gets, the gift card for however much people chipped in for. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. So there's a few different elements to it, right? Like the Indigenous Running Club now, like that's why I say I almost gotta write out what is the Indigenous Running Club now, because we have people that are part of it, that have our shirts and wear them, proudly at runs that they do. Aren't able to make it out Tuesday nights because of their scheduling, but still, wear the shirts and run with us at different events. And then we have people that come out to our Tuesday nights. And then we have people that participate in our healthy selfie challenge. So, there's different elements to it. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was wondering that, but I didn't know it started so long ago. That's all.
Yeah. So started it in 2016 was our first year, and then 2017 ran it our second, and then this year 2018. So I've been going for 3 years now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was wondering that, because I kept seeing those posts and everything like that, and people talking about things and everything.
Yeah.
Because I just recently saw too that you because I saw that there's shirts that can be ordered.
Yeah.
Like long sleeves, hoodies.
Sleeveless and short sleeve. Yeah. But so people have an interest in having them, and again, there's some people that can't even make it out to our Tuesday nights, but they still want to wear the shirts because they just really like it, and that's I couldn't be more happy than for people to wear our shirts. I was really surprised at first, like oh, can I get a shirt? And I'm like, well, we don't have any. Like, we only made enough for the people that did the longboat run.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, we don't really have any, but I guess we can order some. And then when we put the first order, or this order in just recently, we had, I can't remember how much. I think it was 32 different pieces of either shirt or hoodie or something, right? And I was like blown away by how many people wanted the shirt. So it's I think it worked the way it was supposed to work, though. People want to be part of the club, and everyone's welcome to join, and there's no real rule on what you have to do to join. It's just, if you want to wear a shirt, then buy one of the shirts, and at cost too. Like, we're not selling them for profit. It's just whatever the cost is to make them, that's what we'll sell them to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's not even about making profit or anything off of it either. So yeah.
Well, that's pretty good then.
Mm-hmm. But right now we have the Healing and Wellness program out in Amran. They're sponsoring the club. So what they do is they give us some money each week to buy snacks. So I buy snacks for the people after their run, and that's really a good hit. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good then. So every Tuesday then
at 6 o'clock, Greenway Park. So it's kind of a different. It's a little bit of a difficult park to get to, because you got to drive down. Like, just the driveway is really long, and it's kind of in the back past the dog parks, but it's a really good spot because there's washrooms there that are open till 8 o'clock. So it's perfect for us to go there. You can change there, you can come straight from work and then change in the bathroom, and then change afterwards that you're done. And so
that's
it's
cool.
a really good location. And plus, like, the way we go, it's nice and shaded too, and there's a good amount of hills where you can mix it up. It's not just all flat. I feel like when people train with just flat or just treadmill, it's kind of like the hills that kind of get to you if you're not used to them, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of a fun question. Did you ever think about doing like those crazy marathons,
The ultras?
or even like the Moab.
Oh, I don't know.
That's like the 225 kilometers.
No. Well, I don't like. I don't like to look past. I don't like to look past the full marathon, but I
Yeah.
do have on my bucket list. I want to do a 50-kilometer run. That is on my bucket list, but like I don't want to look past the Chicago
Yeah.
marathon yet. But yeah, I've already been looking into where they do 50-kilometer runs, and I think I see how this one goes and see if that's in my future, or if I got to do the marathon distance, for a couple of years first before I can move on. But I never thought about doing nothing beyond that. That's for sure. So I think the 50-kilometer is the shortest distance to get you into that ultra marathon club.
Yeah.
So that's I'll take the easiest way in to get that ultra marathon club. But yeah, I don't know about that. Like there's one guy in our clinic that's training to do his first, I think it's his 100-mile, so it's like 160-kilometer run. It's just, that's insane.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's a lot of running.
Is that one of those ones that goes overnight?
I don't even know. I didn't even think about
Because I know that it's not even 225 kilometers. It's 225 miles, but like that
Oh,
Moab,
yeah.
it took them 3 days to run it.
Jeez.
And the woman who won it, she was ahead by 20 miles on everybody.
Really? Holy
So like
cow.
she actually just, and she said the whole time she only slept for like a couple minutes the entire time.
Yeah.
Like she said she remembers just, I'm gonna take a break, and the person she was with like, okay, then she's like, wake me up in like, I don't know, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And she must have slept for like a minute.
Yeah.
And then got up and felt like, oh my god, we're so late, we gotta run. And she just took off and like, okay, and then started running again. And so like I was like, oh, that's pretty crazy. But I was like, yeah, it's nuts. Like, because I heard there's one in Colorado even.
Oh, really?
Because of all the hills and stuff, they said you
Yeah.
gotta run up through all that.
Totally.
So I was like, oh, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
though.
those aren't on my radar, that's for sure. Yeah, maybe the 50 kilometers the only thing on my radar, but I think beyond that, I don't. I don't think, not right now, anyways.
Yeah.
They always say a really or quad never says never. 'Cause we don't predict the future.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I like to do is kind of get near the end of the show is I always like to ask, is there something that maybe people don't know about, haven't heard about, seen, or something that maybe you recommend that people should maybe check out in anything?
Okay.
Maybe something that doesn't get enough recognition, or something even just something as simple as like maybe some shoes or just a book or something like that. But is there anything you can think of that maybe people could check out more?
Well, I would say support your local friendship center for sure.
Yeah.
Always support your local friendship center. There's always programs and activities happening, and you'd be surprised at how many programs happen here. So I would say that, and I would say footwear is definitely, I think us natives, we like to wear our Nikes, but we might not be the best footwear for us for running, but a good footwear, and runner's choice is the one that helped me out, so I have to say
Is that one on off of Springbank?
Yeah, so they just moved actually. They're just right on Springbank and is it Berkshire now? So
Yeah, okay, because when I go home, I drive down that way, and I see that.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember you talked about that. I was like, I wonder if that's the one he's talking about.
yeah, so they used to be on Dundas. I think they were like there for like over 20 years, but now they're over on Springbank and Berkshire. But yeah, they got training clinics, and yeah, so if you want to do 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon, they got a clinic, and I really like their coaching, and it really helped me. So definitely have to support them with that. But
Yeah.
I would say those are the two things, I guess.
All right, then. That
Yeah.
sounds good. So, any last remarks?
Just feel free to come out to the Indigenous Running Club every Tuesday, or any Tuesday that you're available, or feel free to connect with me if you want to be interested in getting one of our shirts, or if you ever want to talk about your journey or my journey or support or whatever. I started from not being able to run to training for my first full marathon. So I can give whatever insight I'm able to, and I'm always open to sharing what I learned. Right. So if anybody ever wants to, check, just hit me up on Facebook, I guess. Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right.
So I guess that's all for now, everybody. And we'll see everybody next time.
What a great episode as usual. Now we had that was Joel Kennedy, and you can get all the detail. You heard all the details in there about the Indigenous Running Club and everything you need if you want to join up and join with them weekly. And they also, and like he said in there, they got T-shirts. They talk about all the stuff you can do in there. All you want to do is get in contact with Joel about meeting up at the club. Go to join a Facebook page. Everything they got. It is a fantastic thing, and it's great to see more people getting more active and getting more people out there to do more activities and exercises and everything like that. And it's such a great, fantastic thing. And I was glad, and I'm glad to know the guy. He's a really great guy, really great interview. Everything went great. So yeah, I hope everyone had a good time with this episode as much as I did making it. And I plan to release another one. So stay tuned for the next exciting episode of the Get Ready podcast. And I'm glad you're here. And I'll see everybody next time.